Hi, welcome to Cubs and Culture for 126 2019. Cubs signed a couple more relievers, so they're probably not done. Bryce Harper and Manny Machado still haven't signed, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, up to the 1986 Best Picture. It's a war film, anti-war film. Made by written and directed by Oliver Stone, of Vietnam. It's very loosely, I shouldn't say inspired, loosely. It's informed by his own combat experiences in Vietnam. The storyline is entirely fictional, or Oliver Stone's confessing to being a murderer. In any case, it won picture director, screen editing, and sound. I'm not as enamored with this film as a bunch of other people. Let me bring up the trailer and clips, and then I'll get into my problems with it. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, so Platoon is the story of Chris, basically one tour of duty in Vietnam, and it's mostly centered around a battle for Chris's soul between Barnes, who is a guy who is very hard to kill, but he's also amoral. He's ruthless and commits war crimes, and he's but again, he's a very hard soldier to kill, and he's a tough son of a bitch. And then Elias, who is played brilliantly by William Dafoe, who is also sort of a tough nut, but he's a moral man and is upstanding. And it's more or less Chris trying to work between those two poles. And through machinations of the plot, Elias gets murdered by Barnes, basically because Elias was going to turn Barnes in for committing war crimes, etc. And then Chris ends up killing Barnes, and it's supposed to be the anti-war that general point that excuse me. War dehumanizes man, so you become the enemy. And everything like that, and it's all well and good. And the action scenes are generally put together very, very well. And the film is very visceral. And when the movie is just playing, especially sort of the action stuff plays out, it's very, very good, and it's really does make it feel like you have boots on the ground. But the main problem I have, why I really like the movie, is scenes like this. You can't hear it because I didn't put on the subtitles. Sorry, but there's voiceover narration, and it's contrived because he's writing letters to that's Chris, and he's writing letters to his grandmother, which is fine. That can be a pretty standard plot element in movies like this, and doesn't feel all that contrived. The issue is Stone doesn't trust his narrative, his story to put across the points he wants, so he puts the points he wants in the letters. And so at the end, in a voiceover scene, Chris literally says, "I'm caught between these two fathers, Barnes and Elias," which just sort of spoon feeds the viewer the points that Stone wants you to get, which sort of gives the film a very contrived sort of feel to it, which makes the film overwrought, and everything like that. And it's very, like, so the voiceover narration is very, very bad, and it's very damaging to the film. Because especially because it converts subtext into text. That's basically its entire function. So there's that problem, and then my other sort of problem, and it's this scene. I'm showing this scene for a couple of reasons, because it sort of gets to my one thing I really like about this film. It's not shy here. Bunny, who's the non-Chris guy, is going to murder this guy, and this is actually a war crime because unarmed civilian who's also disabled and everything like that. That's all fine. I'm glad the film admits to American atrocities. You don't often get that in cinema, especially American cinema. And I don't think a movie like this today could be made. And in fact, I'm sure there was no military funding because of scenes like this. That's fine. But the other reason why I'm showing it is something. There's some shots here where I feel like it's not like the violence is too much for the story. It's just the way in which Kevin Dillon, who plays Bunny, plays him here. It's too overwrought and too over the top. For me, that doesn't feel quite realistic. It feels more melodramatic than it should. And then Stone sort of does that directorially as well, every now and then. So like there's a couple of times where it goes into black and white. And then also sort of shifting color palettes, and then there's a shot of Barnes where his eyes literally grow red because he's supposed to be like the devil. And it just feels out of place for most of the rest of the text, which is sort of realistic and gritty. And so at the end, this film, take out the voice narration, and that would improve it a great deal. And then take out some of the flourishes that Stone does, and it would be better. I do like that at least there's a anti-Vietnam War film in the Best Pictures as opposed to The Deer Hunter, which is sort of a conservative take on Vietnam. Anyway, so that's going to be it. See you guys see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.